We begin with breaking news, a deadly crash in the Inland Empire.
Yeah, we're told 3 people have died. Desmond Shaw is live at Sky 2 over the scene. Desmond.
Indeed, Peter and Krista, we are over the 18,200 block of Slover Street in the Bloomington area, just south of the 10 freeway here. You see this mangled muscle car, may have been a Dodge Challenger, it looks like to me. You can see the horrible condition of this car. But an update now, at first we were hearing that people were ejected from the car and died. 3 people lost their lives tonight, but now California Highway Patrol is telling us that those 3 people that were killed were actually pedestrians in the area. So it sounds like the driver of this vehicle lost control, and apparently the driver is well enough to be talking to CHP. He's been at the scene here. They've been questioning him, trying to get his side of the story of what exactly happened out here tonight. A big investigation. There's actually a CHP helicopter out here as well, taking pictures. Lots of officers out here with flashlights looking for evidence and also talking to any witnesses. They're also still searching for another vehicle that may have been involved, reportedly a dark-colored Chevy SUV that was last seen headed westbound right around when the crash happened. But 3 people out here have lost their lives, and CHP trying to figure out exactly what happened. Live at Sky 2 overhead, I'm Desmond Shaw. Peter and Crystal, back to you now in the studio.
Okay, thanks, Desmond. Also tonight, police are trying to crack down on street takeovers in the San Gabriel Valley. Hundreds of people and dozens of cars involved in dangerous stunts like this weekend.
CBS 2's Brittany Hopper is live in Arcadia now to show us what happened. Brittany?
Peter and Krista, were told that 300 to 400 people were out here. They took over this entire intersection. You can see tire marks are still out here on the street from when cars were doing donuts. Now, we talked to one witness who tells me he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Around 1 in the morning, hundreds of people took over the streets in Arcadia, driving recklessly. At one point, cars doing donuts in the intersection of Duarte Road and Baldwin Avenue came dangerously close to hitting onlookers, cheering the drivers on.
But I was in shock.
Sean Shaver works at a nearby restaurant and was just getting off work to meet some friends at a bar at that intersection. He says he heard yelling, tires screeching, and hundreds of people taking over the streets.
They blocked the intersection to do donuts, and it was like going on for about 8 to 10 minutes before you heard police sirens coming. And before that even happened, the bar locked the doors down.
Shaver says that the bar he was in went into lockdown for a while as people started running toward the bar, trying to run from police. But it didn't end here. The crowd was dispersed, only to then pick back up in Pico Rivera. Police say that's when the crowd got even rowdier, throwing bottles at police and shooting fireworks toward officers.
It's crazy. We have a very quiet neighborhood and nice neighborhood, and I don't want to see this get started.
Now, 2 people were arrested. Fortunately, no one was injured. Back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, thanks, Brittany. Developing news from Northridge, a suspected drunk driver caused this major wreck at the corner of Plummer Street and Luis Avenue. 6 people were injured, including a 7-year-old. And minutes before, police say the driver sped away from another crash. Witnesses tailed the suspect, who ran a red light and caused the wreck. The driver was arrested.
A murder mystery in Malibu. A father killed while camping with his daughters.
And now we're learning the same area has had issues with gunfire in the past. CBS 2's Chris Holstrom joins us now with the latest on the investigation. Chris.
Yeah, it's been nearly 3 days since his father was shot and killed, and still no suspect, not even a motive. 35-year-old Tristan Beaudet pictured here with his wife and 2 young daughters. Loved ones describe him as an amazing father, son, and brother. Tristan was a scientist who worked for a pharmaceutical company. Loved ones say he took his daughters to Malibu Creek State Park so his wife could take an exam the next morning. On that same morning, news no one wants to get. Authorities called out to this campground around 5 a.m. with reports of shots fired. Tristan was shot in his upper torso. He died at the scene. Whoever did it, still out there.
The campground was nearly full. It's summer vacation.
And it sounds as if this isn't the first time for gunfire at this campground. Melissa Tangelo posted this video to Facebook last year. She says she was camping at the same place when around 5 a.m. she heard a loud noise. She then found this bullet in the back of her car. In the post, she says other campers heard the loud noise too, and that she reported it to the sheriff's department. Authorities would not confirm this shooting or if the two incidents are related, but they tell me the murder investigation is still ongoing. As for this family, they continue to mourn their loss and wonder how something like this could happen. And the family just released a statement. It reads in part, "We are grateful for the overwhelming outpouring of support that we have received in the wake of our loss. Knowing that Tristan's deep kindness touched so many people is a comfort during this extremely difficult time." They're also urging any witnesses or anyone with information about the incident to contact the LA County Sheriff's Office. Crystal?
Thanks, Chris. Troubling new revelations are surfacing tonight about a child abuse investigation in Lancaster. Were the calls for help ignored? CBS 2's Christy Fajardo joins us now with reaction from the child's father. Christy.
Crystal, we want to be clear. No one has been charged in this case, and the boy's mother has reportedly said that he fell. But the LA Times is now reporting that the child had severe head injuries and cigarette burns all over his body. What's more, the newspaper says there was a history of documented abuse. 4 years before his death, the LA Times says law enforcement and social workers had been told 10-year-old Anthony Avalos was being abused. Citing anonymous sources who reviewed documents in the case, the newspaper says a teacher, school administrators, even family members called police or the child abuse hotline at least 16 times in the last 5 years. Still, Avalos was left in his Lancaster home.
He told us that he would get locked up and he wasn't allowed to use the bathroom.
That was Avalos' aunt at a vigil in his honor on Thursday. Tonight, Maria Barone tells us in 2015, she called authorities on her sister-in-law and her boyfriend after she noticed bruising, and Anthony and his siblings told her they were being abused and forced to eat trash. But she says after a visit with their mother, the children recanted parts of their story, and they were sent back to live with her and were then cut off from the rest of the family. Barone says other family members and friends have reported the abuse too.
Anthony deserves justice, and the rest of my nieces and nephews do not deserve to go back to her.
From Mexico, Anthony's father tells us his mother also reported her suspicions her grandson was being abused after seeing scratches on Anthony.
I would talk to him on the camera, and I would ask him, "How you doing? You know, are you okay? You need something?" And he would just put his head down.
Victor Avalos says he tried to fight for custody of Anthony but lacked the proper paperwork to come to the U.S. to get him. Now he'd like answers from his ex and from authorities.
Just don't know why social workers never did a full investigation.
Tonight, the Sheriff's Department confirms there had been previous investigations but is not giving any details. The Department of Children and Family Services isn't talking either. And although we want to stress no one has been arrested in this case, the case is already drawing comparisons to the death of 8-year-old Gabriel Fernandez. In that case, 4 social workers are now facing trial and 6 deputies were disciplined. Back to you.
All right, Christy, thanks. The Trump administration reveals its plan to reunite immigrant families who were separated at the border. It's believed more than 2,000 children are still in federal custody. Under the new plan, they'll be reunited after the parents' deportation proceedings are complete. If the parent is deported, they'll first be reunited with their children. But if the parent stays in the U.S., they will have to apply to be the child's sponsor. CBS 2's Nikki Batista has more on the president's latest tweets on immigration.
Families are no longer being separated at the border, but President Trump is making it clear that his stance on immigration hasn't softened. On Sunday, the president added even more fuel to the political fire, saying non-citizens shouldn't have an automatic right to a hearing in the U.S. Mr. Trump tweeted, "We cannot allow all of these people to invade our country. When somebody comes in, we must immediately, with no judges or court cases, bring them back from where they came." In another tweet, the president said the country should adopt a merit-based immigration system.
Look, remember, they are not coming here illegally. They are coming here seeking asylum and protection.
The administration's zero-tolerance approach has left Congress further divided.
The American people made Donald Trump president, made Republicans the majority in the House and the Senate to build the border security wall, stop chain migration, end the sanctuary city policy, reform our asylum laws, get rid of the visa lottery, and then also deal with the DACA population.
Last week, the president told Republicans to forget about immigration reform until after the midterm elections. But GOP leaders spent the weekend putting a new bill together, and they're hoping to bring it to a vote sometime this week. Nikki Batiste, CBS 2 News.
And Hollywood actresses are also getting a look at the conditions along the border. Lena Dunham, Mira Sorvino, Amber Heard, and others traveled to Texas to show their support for the immigrant families. Sorvino had some pretty harsh words for the president.
You cannot talk about whole ethnic groups, and we're not even talking one nationality. We're basically talking Latino people coming from the South into this country as vermin, infesting. These are fighting words. Donald Trump, you're talking like Hitler.
The group also chanted, "We are with you" in Spanish outside the detention centers in hopes that the children could hear them. There are many other groups also protesting at the border. And you can see much more from the interview with this group coming up tomorrow on CBS This Morning, starting at 7 a.m.
The end of a difficult journey today for a group of faithful from Orange County. They walked for 3 days from Lake Forest to downtown LA to show their support for immigrant rights. The pilgrims ended the walk with a mass at the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels.
And coming up, while federal prosecutors canceled a meeting with Stormy Daniels tomorrow.
Plus, Roseanne Barr goes on the record about her racist tweet.
I'm very sorry, but I don't think that.
Hear what else she said during that tearful interview. Straight ahead. Plus.
Excuse, sir, you know we're live on
We're live on television right now.
A live broadcast of the BET Awards interrupted by a police officer. Find out what happened.
We've got increasing winds and hotter temperatures in the forecast. Stick around. I will sort it all out for you coming up.